I don't want no one calling me while I'm.
Hello. Welcome to She Boss Talk. We're here for another show. I am your host, Shantae R. Roddy. We want to welcome you in and we want to welcome our newest guest. This is going to be a fantastic show. So I hope you're here to catch the live. If you don't, you definitely want to make sure that you catch the replay. Our guest is Krystal Boothe. We're excited to have her. She's a fellow She Boss, and her company is Wings of the Future Private Practice. I'm going to allow her an opportunity to tell you a little bit about herself. Before we do that, again, just want to welcome you in as you're coming in. Let us know who you are, where you're from. Do share out this broadcast and do hit the love button or do give this a thumbs up, just depending on where you're viewing from. So we're just going to hand it over to Krystal. Krystal, tell us who you are and what it is that you do.
Hello, Shantae. Good to be here on your show. Thank you for inviting me on the show. My name is Krystal Boothe. I am a licensed clinical social worker, which means basically I'm a clinical therapist, and I am the CEO and founder of Wings of the Future Private Practice. And basically, what we do, Wings of the Future does, is we provide therapy services like individual therapy, uh, let's see, family therapy, couples therapy, groups like domestic violence groups, anger management groups, substance abuse groups, parenting groups.
Oh,
Provide all these groups and things. What we do is we provide this for the community because we want to help them. Typically, our primary client that we're trying to serve here is we're trying to serve the client that loses their children to child protective services, and they have these court cases, and they get involved in these court cases, and they want to get their kids back, and we're there. We want to help them get their kids back. We want to help them matriculate through the classes and matriculate through the program, and heal, so that's what we do, Shantae.
I love that. I love that you're all about supporting the family. So what let's go back a bit. I want to really know how you got started in this work. How long have you been in business?
Well, been in business since 2017, and I believe that was March of 2017 is when we pretty much got our DBA, and so we've been in business since then. However, I've been doing therapy work since, and I've been working in mental health. I would say mental health since 2007, and so I guess I've been really working in mental health for 10 years before I got to the point where I was licensed and ready to start helping families. But I started out working with families in the juvenile, actually boys in the juvenile correctional facility, and I started helping them heal from trauma, working with them in a therapeutic way. And I started to learn about trauma and what trauma does to the brain and how it affects people. And so that's kind of where the work started, to be honest with you. But then as time went on, I went to work at a substance abuse treatment facility out there in Acton. It was actually out there off the 14 freeway out here in California. So I went and worked there. And while I was working there, I really, got a heart for the women. And I started noticing the women were in a substance abuse treatment facility there. And they were all of them lost their kids. And they were in substance abuse treatment. They were getting the treatment, but they were coming back. Like they would leave substance abuse treatment and then they would come back and then they didn't have their kids. And the whole time they were there, and they could be there for even upwards to 3 months, they weren't working on any of their stuff to get their kids back. So I was like, wow, these women don't really have a reason to really recover because they feel like, we don't have our kids, we lost our kids, it's kind of over for us. They come there, they kind of clean up a little bit for a little while, and then they go right back out, get back into some sort of traumatic relationship or some prop back into the drugs again, and then they still don't have a reason to change. And so I said, I think what I'm going to do is I decided to, at this point, go and take some classes. Actually, went and took some certification classes for domestic violence, because one of the main key issues I noticed that the women had who lost their kids, that they didn't have any. They had lost their kids, but they had DV cases. Or the substance abuse was intertwined with the DV and things like that. So I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go take these classes, and even though I don't have to take these classes because I work here already and it's not really required of me, and I'm going to go to the people over the facility and I'm going to ask them, can I teach these women with domestic violence, so that when they leave here, they'll be able to get their kids back, because the court is saying that they have to do DV. And even though we're doing all these other programs here, we're not doing the programs that help them get their kids back.
Yeah.
So I said, what I would start to do is I asked them, could I also write them letters to the judge for any therapy that they do with me? Because some of them do come to me and they do therapy, even though they all don't have to do therapy because they work with their substance abuse counselor. So I said, let them see if they can come and work with me, and I will vouch for them that they work with me and what their progress on. So that's kind of how I started it. And in the process of doing that, I met a partner and I hooked up with her, and she and the great thing, as I hooked up with her, and she then kind of talked to me about how to get into the court system and how to work with courts and things like that. So she kind of helped me with that. And anyway, so that's how I then decided to go and like sit down and say, I got to start my business. And so I had just started this job, and I was like, I got to start a business at the same time. So I just started putting paperwork together and just like getting everything together. And I was like, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna be able to help these women at the facility that I work at. But I don't want to just go that far. I want to start to create something, because I saw a need. And that's one of the things that they taught us, because I went to USC. And that's one of the things they taught us. They said, find a treatment gap, find a somewhere where your community, where the needs and the services are not needed.
Being fulfilled.
Yeah. And this is what they trained us on. So I said, this is a need. People are not getting their kids back. Like, they're going into the system and the kids are staying in the system. The kids aren't coming back. The kids are just, with a new foster parent. Nothing wrong with being with a foster parent if you really need to be with a foster parent. But a lot of these parents did want their kids back. They just didn't have a system and a track to get on for that to actually take place. So it was kind of like they pretty much come into the system. The social worker pretty much starts to tell them, you did a bad thing, admit that you did a bad thing, and takes them a while to admit that they did anything wrong. Sometimes they go into denial and they don't want to admit that they did anything wrong. So they're fighting with the parents and telling the parents, change your ways. You guys need to, do what you need to do. You need to get in classes and you need to get your kids back. But they don't actually have a specific way for that to take place.
So what was it really that pulled on your heartstrings, that where I know you found a gap, right? But we can find gaps and it's not really anything that we're really passionate about, that we're going to really structure our whole business around it. Is it the fact that you're a mother, or what really was it that resonated with you, that you really wanted to see families stay together and be healed, and moms be able to get their children back into the house?
Well, my family, my siblings actually were foster kids. I actually wasn't. I was already gone. I'm the oldest of 9 children, so I was already gone from the home. So that was one of the things. So I had that memory, like, dang, that happened to my siblings, kind of, And then my daughter ended up getting in trouble with the Child Protective Services for smoking marijuana. And so, it's although marijuana is legal now, but so this whole thing, and I'm like, these are young people. They're making serious mistakes. Granted, they're making serious mistakes, but there's no help for them. Mm-hmm. There is help. I'm not saying that there's not people out there helping them, but it's not structured.
Right. So
and they don't have a path. They don't have a path, and they don't have a specific aim towards the treatment. So it's kind of like, well, yeah, we're going to talk to you about DV. We're going to talk to you about this, parenting. We're talking to you about a lot of different stuff. So we're teaching you good stuff. But the problem I found out was not that they just needed to learn and be taught stuff. They needed to actually heal from trauma, because oftentimes I found out that some of them, their parents kids had been taken. They had been taken from their parents. So they were experiencing trauma and then repeating the trauma and then losing their kids. And it became a generational cycle. And I said, wow, this is serious. Like they would have just trauma from DV, or all variations of trauma. There's so many things. Or they would have serious grief and loss issues, mental health problems, just all this stuff. And the treatment was being catered towards talking about their case and getting their case back. Which you have to talk about the case, because it's relevant, it's present, it's in real time. It's real time. The case is real time. But the past is also important because the past is what has happened in their lives that got them to this point. So
Right. It's the root cause, right?
the
And I,
root.
I like that because now you're bringing a solution into the equation. We know, like in the justice system, a lot of times that is missing.
Mhm.
It's just like used to punish, but it's not really getting to the root cause to prevent it from happening over and over. To be able to do what you're able to do with your services is to stop the cycle and to be able to create a situation of healing for people, which I know we have viewers here, right? We're all bosses, but we're people. We're humans. We deal with the same types of issues. We all have traumas. I was talking to my good friend the other day. We were talking about some of the men in our lives and the mental health issues. And what I said is, I said everyone has trauma that they're dealing with, whether they know it or not. So, since we're on this topic, can you explain for our audience exactly what that is? Because a lot of people don't even know what trauma is, or that they have experienced trauma that is holding them back in some way in their lives. So, what is trauma?
Okay, so typically what people will say about trauma or know about trauma already, they will know that it's a traumatic event, like you had a car crash or someone beat you up, or you got your purse stolen, or something like that. So they will typically see all those physical manifestations of trauma where someone actually, where you literally you go into a state of shock and fear and stress. It's like fear and stress comes into your body. People don't know about it. It literally enters into your body when something happens that's fearful or stressful or both. So it could be something. It could be something fearful or stressful or both. Can be something as simple as someone talking down to you, arguing with you. Can be, you know what I mean, or someone kicking you out of the home. You're a little kid, and your parent. I've heard this happen too. Parents telling their kid, "Oh, you got to leave." And then obviously, fear is going to enter that person's body. Stress is going to enter that person's body. People do not understand the implications of fear and stress entering into your body.
Yes.
That is something. It could
Yeah.
be an argument. It could be an actual event. It could be sexual abuse. It could be physical abuse. It could be psychological abuse. It could be stealing your money. It could be so many things. It could be stress, and there's so many other nuances. But obviously, I don't have enough time to make the big, huge, probably 100-page list. It's a lot.
Right, right. So let's talk about the healing. So again, what you do is really help. You provide like a program
Mhm.
to really give like women a pathway to be able to get back their children. So you're really helping keep families together,
I love
um,
it. Yes.
which is so important.
Mhm.
So let's talk about healing and how important that is for any individual that has been dealing with trauma, whether they're trying to get their children back or they're trying to, like many of us are trying to run our businesses. How important is it to getting to a place of healing, and what steps can we take to get there?
Okay. Well, first of all, you have to come out of denial, and a lot of the time it's not that you're trying to be in denial. Some people are because it's just too painful for them to face something that has happened to them. They feel a lot of shame around it, a lot of guilt maybe around it. So it's not something that they want to tackle. Some people just mentally handle things differently. So they might think, my way of handling this is that I'm going to deny that it occurred, because my brain is going to tell me, I'm going to tell myself that this didn't happen. And that's the way that I'm going to handle it. They feel like they're handling it. They're actually, in fact, are not handling it. They're suppressing it. But they feel like this is a way to get out of my immediate pain or my immediate anguish. So they'll do things like that. They will, there's many ways to do that, and then, so what was the question? Tell me that one more time. I just want to make sure I hit that exactly. I'm getting there.
That's fine. Like, how can they,
Okay,
um, how can they take steps towards the healing process?
that's right. So I don't want to get off track here. So that's one step to come out of denial, recognize that this has actually occurred. Then the second step is to get some help, someone to help you to start working on it. Some, professionals are really good. I mean, I know a lot of people feel like, going to a therapist is, something's wrong with me, I'm crazy. It's not about that. It's just like having a person who's educated, trained in this particular field, and they're going to be able to sit with you and give you the best practices for how to heal, the best way to go about it. And they're going to begin to help you unpack it too, and be there for you in a very safe atmosphere where you can, tell them what you need to tell them, explain to them what you need to explain to them, say the things that you normally wouldn't say to someone, and or you fear would make you look bad or something like that. If you were to say that, they're there for you to kind of unpack it. So you're gonna meet with that person, you're gonna unpack the thing, and then you're going to start to actually do techniques. There's actually techniques, there's actually strategies, there's actually activities that you could do, that I do, particularly myself. I do different healing techniques with them to help them release the trauma from their body. And what happens is it rewires their brain. I help them reprocess the trauma, go back through the events of the trauma, and with the fine-tooth comb, go through it and see what was the specific thing where the maladaptive coping came in. Because a lot of the times it's maladaptive coping in there. And so I go in and I specifically try and pinpoint those things that the person has is holding in their bodies. And I help them get that fear and that stress out of their body. And what happens is the body goes back to the natural homeostasis. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is amazing and interesting, and that has to be a rewarding process to go through, to see someone come out on the other side of that once they've gone and they've had, because that has to be transformational. That's what you're doing. You're creating transformation in someone's lives, and not just someone's lives, but the lives of their children and their family members. Because we know anytime that we're acting out or we're stagnant because of mental health issues, it impacts everything around us.
Yes.
Right. So I think that's so important, and to get to a place of healing is important. So that's very good. So let's take a step back, because I believe you told me that you started this business with $100. Is that right?
Oh my goodness. Yes, I did. I got a little, actually, I didn't even buy the computer. I did a rent-a-center. I had no money at the time. I rented this computer. So I think that might have cost me $100 to rent the computer. Eventually I did pay it off. And anyway, so I sat down with this computer and I started researching and looking up the documents that I needed to start to get, like, your EIN number and all the paperwork that you have to do to sort of start a business, DBA. And I would get paid on my paycheck because I worked for the county at the time. I would get a little bit of extra money that I didn't have to pay for bills, and I would get one item done or two items done on my list. And I would literally go down my list with a fine-tooth comb and just like get everything done. And before I knew it, I was like, oh shoot, I have it all done. I think I need to now get an office. And then I went and looked for an office, and I found an office that I could share with another doctor who would mind sharing some time with me in the office. I didn't even pay for an actual office or furniture at that point. I didn't have that kind of money, but I just, slowly but surely started to put this together. And in the meantime, I didn't want to just wait on all of that. I would also get up in the morning at 3:00 in the morning, and I would get ready because I lived kind of far from LA at the time. I live in LA now, at least the LA area, but back then I didn't. And so I would just get in that car, and I would just drive down to LA on that 14 freeway. And on a Saturday morning and on a Sunday morning, I stopped going to church because I would literally go down and I said, this is my ministry. I am at church right now. Because I need to help these people. And I just became so passionate, and I would just see all the transformation, and I would just do the techniques with the clients, and they would be like, can I do some more work with you, Ms. Krystal? Oh my God, I got my kid back. This happened. Oh, I stopped hanging with that bad guy that I was with, or, anything that was stopping them, because trauma, it affects the brain. So the actions of the person that they're judging, and they're saying this person is horrible. They lost their kids. They they did this before. They have a pattern of behavior. They keep going back to that guy. They let them back in the house again, or they keep drinking or doing whatever they're doing. When I found out that the trauma was the issue and I pinpointed the trauma and I helped them heal from it, they stopped doing it. They stopped having those problems. They start, oh, I don't need to do that. Or they make a different choice because their brain is changed.
Yeah, they've changed. They've made a transformation. So that really works. That I think really states how the importance of getting to the root cause and really
Yes.
healing,
Education.
right? Healing the wound or whatever that situation is, so you don't continue to repeat the process.
That's
So
it.
let me just, for the entrepreneurs out there, I always like to pull out these pieces, is
Mhm.
the fact that you got started. And I know, like, so many times, entrepreneurs and small business, they want to start their business, and they think they have to have everything together. Everything has to be perfect. They have to have thousands, if not millions of dollars to get started. She is a testament that you do not. All of you, I know you have a purpose, you have a mission. Like she said, it's her ministry. I
Mhm.
know my business is my ministry. Yes, I'm making money, but I'm here for a higher purpose that goes well beyond me. And I see is the same way for you. But you got started. You started where you were with
Exactly.
what you had, right? And you knew this is something you wanted to do and you had to do, that you had to meet a need. You knew that there was a gap that had to be filled, and you were courageous enough to take that leap and to do it. That's not an easy thing to do.
No, it was very nerve wracking because when I would do it, literally because I myself had trauma, which is why I have so much empathy for people who have it. I would literally be shaking. I would be shaking doing it, like because all the all the mindset issues we talk about, all the mindset issues were like, you can't do it. There was so many voices in my head telling me all kind of crazy stuff, and I was like, because I had gotten to be a little older at that point. I think I was in my 40s, and I was like, you know what? I don't care what my brain is telling me to do. I'm just gonna do this. My brain can do whatever it needs to do. It has to have its party. It's gonna have a party anyway. Let it have its party, and I'm just going to actually do. I'm gonna do the specific task. I'm not gonna think about it. I'm not gonna analyze it. I'm not gonna try and be a perfectionist because it's not gonna be perfect. I'm just gonna do it, and then later on, after I do it, I'll see what I have, and if I need to fix it, I'll fix it. But I'm just gonna do it, and that's how I started doing it. I just started and I think this is an African American piece too that I want to say about, because obviously we don't have the people that sit down with us and teach us how to do stuff. We literally a lot of the times have to go out on a limb, so and figure things out on our own. And this is one of those things where it was like I was waiting in my life, and I was like, I got all this really beautiful stuff I want to give people. I love people so much. I want to help people, and I was so passionate to do it, but I had no money. I had no help. I had no training, no parents, no anything to guide me and lead me through this thing. So I had to decide that I was literally going to go on the internet and I was going to read and study and figure things out. And then I was going to do it. And if it worked, boom, I got that done. I move on to the next thing until I just started doing, till I built a whole corporation.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Yeah.
the way, that's the way, that's the way to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, so you just got started, you had little to no money, someone opened up their office to you. Can you tell us the important, because I heard you mention earlier, and I'm a big proponent of collaborations and partnerships.
Yes.
I think, and this especially now is so important for all of us that are entrepreneurs, small business owners, anyone that's in ministry, period, that really wants to make an impact in the world, that it's going to require collaboration. So can you tell us, do you think collaboration is important, and how have you been able to partner and collaborate in your mission to help these women?
So I online, I actually found someone who was doing what I wanted to do. And I talked to her and she was like, let's do a partnership. And we did a 50-50 partnership. And that was how I got usage of her office actually to start practicing doing this, because there's two things that you need to do. You need to people need to put their physical bodies into what they want. People do a lot of talking. You need to talk about it. And I had been talking about it. Actually, I had been collecting books to become a private practice therapist for 10 years prior to doing this, by the way. So intention is very important. So you want to make sure that you make an intention, my intention, and then you put something physical into the intention. So you don't just want to just, oh, I intend to do this, and you go talk to your friend about it, and it's, oh, I think you can do anything, sweetie. All those great conversations. No, that's not just it. You want to actually do something physical and put that into what you're seeing. So for me, I didn't have anything at the time. I didn't have a license, so I couldn't do a private practice, but I could get a book. So I would get all the self-help books. I would watch all the self-help shows. As obviously I was a therapist at the time, getting my hours, clinical hours and things like that. So I would do all of that. And then I would physically put my body into it. So by going and working with this friend that I connected with, that was me physically getting out of my bed in the morning, putting on my clothes, combing my hair, driving down to Los Angeles. I didn't make a lot of money because I was splitting the 50-50 with her. And I think at the time the rate was like $50. It was really no money. Now for therapy or whatever work, I made $25 an hour. And I probably didn't even make that because I probably didn't even, most of it went back to marketing and other things that we had to do. So I didn't make a lot of money. It wasn't that. It was me saying, no more am I going to talk about doing this. I'm going to actually physically go and do it. I'm going to find a way to physically do what I say I want to do. That's key. And then I'm going to set the intention, and I'm going to set the intention way before it's time for me to actually do it. So if you're like, well, I'm not waiting on this to do it, because a lot of people typically are waiting on there's some real things. Like me getting a license was real. I couldn't do it without that. So there's a period of time where you're trying to do something, but you want to actually, do it. So the thing is, if you can't actually do it at that moment because there's something that's holding you up from that, what you want to do is you want to actually go and do something that means what you want to do while you do it.
Yeah.
So that could be by reading a book on what you want to do. That could be meeting with the group of people who are doing what you're doing. That could be getting a mentor. All of this is preparation, because when you see people successful, they did not get successful that day. My success had been being built for over 10 years before I sat down with my nervous Rent-A-Center laptop. Just being real, it was
Exactly.
They stole that laptop, but yeah, it was really a funny thing. And I would sit there with that laptop, and that would be, how I would go about it. But long before that, I would be telling people, I'm gonna have a private practice. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And I would buying books. Now, I'm buying these books because one day when I need references, I'm gonna have a great library. And right now, I have a very large library of books that some of them I haven't gotten a chance to read all of the books, but I've gotten a chance to read parts of the books. But I have them, so if there's something that I need to help my client with, I have that information. I have those resources for my client. So it's really for them more than me.
Yeah, I like what you said, and not just like it. I think it's so important is setting the intention. What is your intention? Once you set your intention and then you put it to action, you're going to succeed. But know that it's going to take time. But I think making that once you set your intention, that you have a goal, something you're striving for, this is something that you're going to do. And you said also speaking it. I believe you need to speak it as well and tell people about it. That helps you hold yourself accountable. So now it's not a secret just with me. I've told people about it. I would do that just to hold my own self accountable. Mm-hmm. Now I want to do it. Now I have to do this. I've already put it out there, right?
Exactly.
Right. I've already put it out there. And once you start speaking, everything starts conspiring around what it is that you want to do. So you just have to just do it. Like you said, putting your body into it. Once you take that first action, then the next action gets easier, then the next action and the next action. Next thing you know, like you said, you have a full-fledged business, you have a full-fledged corporation, and you're serving the people that you intended to serve. But I think it's so important to go through this process because they glamorize entrepreneurship and small business ownership as though it's this thing that happens overnight, that we don't have struggles. But it is a courageous effort. And since we're on this healing, talk about healing and trauma, these are things that we deal with as entrepreneurs. Small
Right.
business owners are very vulnerable. People try to take advantage of us a lot.
Mhm.
We're going through things in our own lives. We, like you said, while you were trying to do this, you had to combat those things in your head that was telling you that you couldn't do this, you're not ready, you don't have enough to do it. You had to combat all of that. That's a lot.
I had to combat a body that was literally shaking. Literally, my body would be shaking, and I would have to ignore that my body is shaking. And
Shaking.
exactly what my mind knew was the thing. Because sometimes we get really caught up in our emotions too, and so I had to learn because I was very connected to my emotion. I'm very like empathic. That's probably one of the reasons why I'm able to do the job that I do. But I had to learn how to control that too in order to become a boss. I had to learn how to control my own emotions and not be over emotional. And sometimes it's saying, "Oh wow, you're having an emotional experience. You don't have to answer it right now. You can answer it later. You can answer your emotional experience in an hour and 2 hours later. You're not ignoring it. You're just putting it aside. It's actually a DBT technique. I didn't really learn it from there. I learned it from suffering with having overwhelming emotions. A lot of us have. African Americans, we've gone through a lot of trauma, a lot of disappointment, and so when we get ready to do something, we're saying, our brain is saying to us, something bad is going to happen, something bad is going to happen, don't do it, don't do it, you're going to get, and I did go through some trauma too, even with working with all the people that along the way that tried to take advantage of me or didn't give me information or withheld information or things like that. There was some things that I did go through, but in the end, to me it was worth it because I was able to achieve the goal that I wanted to achieve, and I'm still working on it. I'm still perfecting the goal, but I was able to start to get in line to be able to get the outcome that I'm looking for. But I had to be willing to trudge through it, and I had to be willing to encourage myself to manage my emotions too. So it's a spiritual thing, it's a natural thing, it's a doing of a physical thing, it's an intentional thing. And then you also have to determine, if you're doing a business, what is your intention? Why are you really doing this? And I had to say to myself, it's really because I don't want to see not one kid grow up without her parent, him or her parent, if they don't have to grow up without their parent. If I could help their parent to heal, I could help the world. Because by helping that one parent, and that kid grows up, and they get to grow up with their parent instead of randomly growing up with people they don't know, and they get the love of their parent because their parent is healed. So now they get the love from their parent, and they also get to grow up with their parent. Then that's going to change. That little kid growing up is going to be able to then go have kids, and then they're going to. And so that's why I named it Wings of the Future, because I'm really, Wings of the Future is really the kids. It's
Yes.
being able to say, so that was an intention. So if once you make the intention, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? It can't just be for money. You
Yeah.
can't for money, because you're gonna have money times, and sometimes you're not gonna have money. So you're gonna have to realize if it's just for money, that's not enough reason. It is a good reason, but it's not enough.
Right. Being well connected to your why, and you have a strong why,
Mhm.
right? Your
Yes.
why and your purpose, that is what's going to keep you in it when you want to quit. And I don't care how successful you are in business, all of us have wanted to quit at some point or another, because it gets hard. It's a lot to be a business owner. You're wearing multiple hats. You're taking care, wearing multiple hats, trying to learn. Like you said, you picking up the books. Like I reading podcast books. I'm in class right now. I'm about to take another class. So there's different, and trying to juggle all of these different things and still keep it together and make money and make a living. So I just want to let all of my viewers out there to know that if you're viewing this right now, you have accomplished something big. You're here, right?
Mhm.
If you have a purpose, you've accomplished something big. If you're still in your business despite COVID, you have accomplished something big. So that brings me to one of my next questions. Is I think this is really important since we've been dealing with COVID for a year now. Um, I just want to get like your opinion, or maybe if you can offer tips for anyone that's out there, dealing with the challenges that COVID has brought. It has impacted all of us in our businesses and our families, right? I've been separated from my family well over a year now, even before COVID. But really, and during COVID, I have not seen my family in person, except maybe two, and they were on the outside of the screen of the door. I had a mask on, they had a mask on. So that this it has been traumatizing.
Very traumatizing. To
It
be
has been traumatizing. So can you offer us any tips for just getting, continuing to get through
COVID,
this challenging time?
yes, the first thing that you want to do is you want to acknowledge how you really feel about what's going on. A lot of people, um, they teeter back and forth with how they feel, and just being honest with your feelings about that. Like I said, there is a place and there is a time for emotions, and there is a place and a time to deal with your emotions. So stop for a minute, acknowledge that this is really hard for me. My, you can even write it down. Like this is what I'm losing right now with COVID, and you can write that all down. You can say I'm losing this time with my grandma. You can be very specific if you want. Write it down and just say, these are all the issues that I'm struggling with right now. And this is how those things are making me feel. This is how this makes me feel. And then these are, and then you can reach out to the people or communicate with the people and create alternative ways. I think some of us have already started doing that. We use a lot of Zoom now, very prevalent. I know Zoom has went up quite a bit because everybody uses it. And so you can use some Zoom or you can use some FaceTime, and you can try to emotionally connect with people. And then there may be even opportunities as time goes on where you can set up little events where you guys can meet up together and do something where you can, and that you can, because you value that touch, that feel, that
Yes.
connection and things like that. And then begin to create a life, a alternative life, not the life. And as you begin to go, as they call it, you begin to understand that letting go of the past and embracing what the future could hold. Because now that we don't have a lot of indoor stuff, we have a lot more time with maybe our immediate families that live with us, if we do have immediate families, and seeing the positive aspects of it too, not just seeing the negative aspects of it. So that's very important. But being honest with yourself, writing down the things that has happened, and then also writing out maybe an alternative way that you can address or enjoy some of the things that you don't have anymore. An alternative way could be, like I think my family, they probably just went on over. We all met up and had my birthday party last August. We met up, we put our mask on, and we have our birthday party. We did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get on a plane if we have to. We have to do. But we don't do it as often. We would probably do things more often, but we don't do things more often. We do things very infrequent. So you have to determine what's going to be the best thing for you, but you have to first be honest at how this has really affected you, and don't hold your feelings in. Talk to somebody about it. See a therapist. If you live all by yourself, you don't really have any of those ways to navigate things. A therapist is a great way. Some of my clients say, you know what, Miss Krystal, you're the only person I get to talk to every week.
Yes.
They don't have anyone else because the way that they had all their interactions, because they were already a bit isolated anyway before they started. The only person they had to talk to is their therapist every week now. So they talk to their therapist, and then because I'm their therapist, talk to them and help them create. And I've done it with other clients. Go and find the people that they are probably not noticing that this could be there for them, and create that support system for them. So I teach them how to find a way how to create a support system for themselves.
I love that. I love that. That is so important. So I have two more questions. Before we wrap this up, I have two more questions for you.
Mhm.
Okay. So if you had a magic wand and you could change anything in the world, what would it be?
Um, my family.
What about your family?
that we would be much more unity, much more unity in the family. All families, mine, the families
Okay.
that would come together and be in unity and be in love and accept one another. People need to accept people for who they are because nobody's perfect, and just be able to see each other for who they are. And that would be what I'm really all about because I think that a lot of the things that come out of people's lives, they do come out of your individual life. They also come out of your familiar life. So,
Yes,
mhm.
that's good.
You know.
And what impact would you hope to make in the next 10 years?
Well, would hope to thousands of people reunited with their families, healed, most importantly, so that they don't re-traumatize their family.
Yeah,
So
that's
healed families, couples healed, so that they can, if they're gonna have children, they can have children with the right intentions to have those children, and with the right plan for those children's lives, so that those children would then have better lives, and then their children would then have better lives. So I'm always thinking ahead like that. So.
yes. I think that's leading to legacy, right? What legacy do we want to leave? We want to leave a legacy for our families. So
Mhm.
I think you're serving an important role in that, and I'm so thankful and appreciative that you took your time to come on to our show. Can you let our audience know how can they connect with you, and what do you have coming up?
Well, anyone can come connect with me. We're gonna have a trauma group coming up. We're gonna be opening starting a trauma group, trauma workshop, and so you can join that. Also, gonna be doing some adding coaching to our practice. So I'm in the process of working on that, adding coaching programs. So that's gonna be coming up. So just learning more ways to heal, learning more ways to connect with yourself, connect with God. That's that's really important in your healing process of teaching you how to do that, the fundamentals of how to heal. I'm going to be teaching people the fundamentals of how to heal. They don't know how to heal. They don't, because they don't know how to connect with themselves, because oftentimes when you have trauma, you disconnect, you disassociate from yourself. So that's one of the first things you do to survive that trauma. You have to separate. So I'm all about reconnecting yourself, just like I am about reconnecting the family. The first way that you heal a relationship is you have to heal the relationship that you're having with yourself. And if you're disassociated from yourself because of some trauma that you've gone through, then you're unfortunately you're not connected to yourself. You want to be maybe, but you're not. So at the point in which I help you reconnect to yourself, then you unfortunately you will feel the things that you disconnected for. Like you disconnected for a reason, because you wouldn't want to feel that pain. But it's not going to last long. If you let me help you, I can help you reconnect to yourself, and then this time, not just reconnect for the purpose of going through suffering and pain, but heal it and then move past it. And that's what I do. So reconnect, heal, and I teach that over and over again. And then I go through with a fine tooth comb and make sure that we find all the nuances, traumas that maybe you didn't even notice that you needed to reconnect to, reprocess, and heal.
Awesome. And what's your website?
My website is Wings of the Future for Us. That's a number for us.com. So Wings of the Future for us.com. You can also check me out Wings of the Future 50. I believe you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, like we're on right now, and I believe even Twitter.
Awesome. And we'll make sure that we leave her information in the comments if you want to connect with her. She's a great woman to connect with. If you're an entrepreneur, I would just recommend that you connect with her. If you need help with healing and trauma, I know a lot of us do. Mental health is so important
Mm-hmm.
for us to prioritize in our lives. So we definitely have a resource for you in that regard. So again, Krystal, thank you so much for being on our show. Guests, thank you so much for viewing. If you would like to be a guest on our show, we're still booking for 2021 into 2022. We would love to have you. If you are making an impact on the world, we would love to hear from you. You can visit us at our website at www.shebosstalk.com. And as always, we will definitely follow up after the show and engage with you. If you have questions, do drop them in the comments and we will circle back. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, continue to be the boss with amplified impact and continue to stay safe and in good health. Have a wonderful day. Until next time, bye.